What a beautiful day. How could I possibly be expected to record a podcast on a day like this? I think I'm gonna take a day off. Should I pull a Ferris and take the car? No, on second thought, I think I'll just chill here. Yeah, man. Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess I should stop sleeping and go record the podcast. Alright, cool. See you then. Alright, guys, today on the SuperCaZt, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And welcome back to the SuperCaZt. This is Steve Z, the man who put the Z in SuperCaZt. And along me with is this guy, who is...
I am the SuperCaZt, the man who put the super in SuperCaZt.
And we are joined to bring you guys something that is just... Oh, yeah.
Yes. This is one of our favorites, guys.
Ferris Bueller's Days Off, yeah.
This is a movie that, if you've not seen this film, what's wrong with you? But also, we will be spoiling this film. So if you've never seen this film, please go watch it and come back and enjoy it with us, because it's that good. I'm really excited to talk about it, man. I hope you're as excited as me, man.
I'm very excited because I just had a whole week off. I mean, forget a day off. I was on spring break, and this was a film that I watched the beginning of it, and then I watched at the end, and I've had a deeper appreciation for it, just like a lot of films that we watch on this show. I just grow to appreciate it and love it more. But this is one that I grew up with watching a lot on TV. And I'm sure that's a lot of people of our generation. This was like a cable staple. And
yes, exactly.
It was one of those that it draws you in with like the fun scenes, the skipping school, the trying to figure out how to trick the principal and all that stuff. I mean, because that's like what our kids that we grew up with, we were all into that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But to me, what made this movie really click for me and made me just love it is, it's weird. It's the dramatic stuff. It's the stuff with Cameron. It's the stuff with the car at the end, standing up to your parents. I don't know why. That was what elevated the movie for me even more. I just knew it went from this fun, adventurous, cool movie to, oh man, things just got serious. Even like when I was like 7, 8 years old, I just knew this movie was a movie that was really good, despite how approachable and how fun it is.
Yeah, it's one of those films that on the surface just looks like a good popcorn, hanging out, feel good film. But I think once you dive into it, which is what we're going to do today, there is a lot more going for it. And I think the older you get, the more you really truly understand it. I was watching this film the other day, and I was thinking about when you and I graduated. Dude, of course, we've been graduated almost 20 years now, which is absolutely insane in its own right. But I remember having these thoughts like Cameron, about like, what's my future going to be like? Where am I going to be? What am I going to do, with the rest of my life? And it's amazing how much I would really love to be Ferris, but I think I was more like Cameron in school. So, whatever that is. But I think these characters are really, really well done. I think there's a lot more, especially with Cameron, of course, but also with Sloane. And we'll get into Sloane's story and, of course, Ferris Bueller. So yeah, sit back, grab your popcorn, and join along with us. Do you guys like Ferris Bueller? Let us know in the comments.
We love you, sweetie.
Call if you need us.
They bought it.
Yeah, so Ferris Bueller, if you're not familiar with, 1986 classic. It's one for the ages. It's just the do it everything guy, takes a day off, and from there on he grabs in his best friend, his girlfriend. They are running amok through the city of Chicago, doing their thing. It's just a great show. It's a great movie, and like I said, it's a lot of fun. And it all starts with the man behind the camera, and I guess the man behind the script, John Hughes. And
Yes.
John Hughes, if you didn't know, he was killing it in the 80s. I mean, the dude, great writer for National Lampoons. We did Vacation a while back. But during this part, he was big into the teen comedies. And you hear that word teen comedy, and you initially think, it's just not a good movie. Or it's just it's like a popcorn flick. It's something just for the masses. But then you get into the John Hughes teen movies, and they're all different. They're all unique, and they all have something to say about that experience. Sort of what you were getting into earlier is about this experience of graduation. And I think that's a big part of what this film is, and kind of what's getting into is this part of your life where things are changing and things are happening really fast. And because of that, you gotta take a time, you gotta stop and smell the roses. And that's what this movie's all about. So let's get into it. So excited about it. I think the best place to start really is with the man of the hour himself, Matthew Broderick as Ferris Bueller. Take it away, man.
And you just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, and remember who you're dealing with.
Bueller. Ferris Bueller.
Alright, so this guy is awesome. If you don't know, this is a guy that he makes the character of Ferris Bueller just so likable right from the get-go. And you just feel like you're best friends with Ferris Bueller the way this movie is written, because it's him kind of introducing the movie, kind of introducing this world. They build this world, and you and I talked about this on the phone the other day. They build this world up within this hour and a half, and even though you're not necessarily familiar with this world or these people, you feel like you're best friends with them by the end of this. And I really think a lot of that credit goes to the actors, of course, but also to the man we previously mentioned, Mr. John Hughes. And I think that's one of the things that makes this film or The Breakfast Club or any of these 80s teen comedies so special. It's not just because they're fun and the characters say funny stuff. There's a lot going on, as we said, even within the world of Ferris. But I just really love how it's all set up at the beginning here, with Ferris basically faking an illness. I mean, that's a genius way to open this film.
It is. I love how over the top and dramatic it is. It's just it's not viable at all. I don't understand his parents. I mean, that just makes it so much funnier as an adult. Is him just like, I think I'm dying, and then Jeannie comes in and she's like, this guy, can you believe him? And then he's just like, come on, Jeannie, wink, wink. You can play along with this. And like you said, they buy it, and we buy it that Ferris can pull this off, because that's the big thing, is Ferris can do anything. He's the end all be all. And like you said, John Hughes kind of originated this character, and it's like the character that life is super easy for them. And I think Matthew Broderick pulls this off really I think the monologues. I think that's where we get to know Ferris the best, as he's telling us like how to fake sickness, how to skip school, how trivial high school is. And I love that part of it, the philosophy of Ferris Bueller.
Yes, exactly.
I know what I can do. I know what's marketable in this world.
Right.
And all this other stuff is a waste of my time. So why waste my time with it? So he's not going to play their games. And that's the best part of Ferris Bueller is he's got his priorities in order. He knows what the big picture thing is. And Broderick just pulls this off. I don't see how. I think it's the script, definitely. But it's just, he's effortlessly charming. He's funny. He's all the things he needs to be this charismatic lead that we see a lot in the 80s. This shorter guy that can just do whatever. We talked about Marty McFly. I don't know. Ferris Bueller is a tall tale hero all of his own. He's so epic.
And apparently everybody loves him except his sister. I think everybody gets along with Ferris Bueller except his sister. And which is funny because the actors actually dated at one time. So that's kind of a funny side thing. But everybody just loves Ferris and who he is. And, you know, the secretary, who we'll talk about later, you know, has this really nice speech about how all these different types of people love him because he is just that great of a guy. And I think he's a genuinely good guy. I don't think he's a poser. I don't think he is trying, you know, to get everybody to love him. I think he's just being a good person. And I think there's a lesson in that on its own right there, is if you're just being nice to people and you're not trying to, you know, cheat out of things and stuff like that, then most people will appreciate you for that. And I think that that's what this character kind of represents. I don't think he's a perfect character. I don't think John Hughes is saying, you know, he's this, you know, superhuman Superman kind of character where, you know, nothing bad would ever happen. But I think, at least for this story, he's just sort of this, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is, but he's just this really good guy that all he wants to do is help his buddy out, because he knows Cameron is struggling with a lot of stuff, and we'll get into Cameron, the character of Cameron, here in just a minute. But I think as far as Ferris goes, I think he is not a goody-goody, but as good as you would want in a person to be in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think that's one thing that stood out to me this time is, yeah, he does have a selfish streak at certain scenes, such as when he gets mad at Cameron for, hey, Ben, you messed it up. I mean, yeah, I've done this, but you messed it up. That's why I hit you. That scene in particular, he's kind of selfish a little bit, but at the same time, he's a very good person. He's very authentic, and I think that's what makes him is cool, and that's what separates him from his sister, but also from Rooney, is because he doesn't sweat the small stuff. He cares more about big picture things, and a lot of that is relationships, because that's what's going to carry. You're going to carry on, and man definitely makes the most out of each day. This day in particular, he makes it count, and that's a lesson that he imparts on our friend Cameron Fry, who's played by Alan Ruck, who is not really a teenager, but we'll give him a pass in this film. I think he pulls it off pretty well. I think he's a very much a bright spot of this film. Yes, it has a lot to do with the writing, but I think the performance of Alan Ruck, he's just great. You want to elaborate a little bit? What do you think about this guy?
I think I appreciate his performance more and more every time I watch this film. I think I relate to this guy. Like I said, the more and more I watch this film, because this guy is obviously almost the complete opposite of Ferris. He is kind of down on his luck. He doesn't really have a lot of self-confidence. He's sick, but I'm not sure if that's a lot more mental than physical. He is very lost in the world, and he's a lot like what a lot of normal teenagers probably would be if they were being honest. I don't know where I'm going. That scares the crap out of me, and I don't want to get out of bed and face whatever's out there in the world. Where you got Ferris going, yeah, man, it's okay. It's all right. Whatever it is, it'll be okay, you know? And that's a true good friend on Ferris's part. But I think as far as Cameron goes, I think he is more the typical teenager, and someone that's kind of lost and I think that's where the audience kind of can connect to this film is like, okay, yeah, that's more me. I'm not necessarily Ferris. I'm more this guy. So, but I think the friendship that Ferris and Cameron have, which you only get to see, you know, right in the middle of it in this film, that Cameron knows he can trust Ferris. Cameron knows that Ferris is at least one of his true good friends, and Sloane, I guess. But yeah, I love their connection, and their friendship is quite interesting to me. And like I said, I get more appreciation out of his performance every time I watch it, including this last time.
Yeah, I just love it how the contrast of Ferris' introduction to Cameron's introduction. Ferris is faking sick, and then we see him just to go about having his good day. He opens the curtains, everything's bright, everything's great.
Yep.
Let's put on some music. Let's dance. Let's play some clarinet, whatever. Meanwhile, Cameron, he's lying in his dark room, playing his guitar music, and he's in ancient Egypt land, let my Cameron go. And it's just like, what is this?
I love it.
Cameron is... you could tell that he's faking it somewhat, but everybody knows what that feels like, where you're so stressed and you feel so bad that you just are sick.
Hello?
Cameron, babe, what's happening?
Very little.
How do you feel?
Shredded.
Is your mother in the room?
She's in Decatur. Unfortunately, she's not staying. Where are you?
I'm taking the day off. Now get dressed and come on over.
You can't, stupid. I'm sick.
That's all in your head. Come on over.
I feel like complete shit, Ferris. I can't go anywhere.
I'm sorry to hear that. Now come on over here and pick me up. You're not dying, you just can't think of anything good to do.
That's the way he is. He is just... He can't face the world, and just he's put so much pressure on himself.
Yeah.
And I guess his parents have a lot to do that, and that's typical from John Hughes' film is, we have to deal with our parents too. He's like, it's not enough to deal with what we're dealing with at school, but we have to deal with our parents too. And Cameron, that's definitely an issue for him, is facing up to his parents, his dad in particular, but also just choosing what he wants to be. What is Cameron Fry all about? And that's what this whole journey is about. Is he goes on this with Ferris to not only have a good time and learn more about himself, but to figure out who is Cameron. What is he going to do with his life?
I truly think I'm not saying that he's not sick physically, but I think this is more of a mental situation going on with Cameron. Because he doesn't really act sick the rest of the film once they get out. Like, he's not like coughing all over the place or anything like that. So I think this is more of a mental thing for Cameron, and in that I can totally relate, because I was like that pretty much my last couple of years of high school.
Yeah, senior year, it's pretty much like this.
And even afterward, I mean, it was horrible. But I think with Cameron though, I think he's just got these mental blocks, and he's scared of the unknown, which most of us are. And so he just doesn't have that self-confidence that he sees his buddy, Mr. Ferris Bueller, have. And, you know, I'm sure he's probably a little jealous of that. But, I mean, he's still his best friend, and they still hang out. And I think he has a good time by the end of it. But, you know, I really find the character of Cameron a lot more relatable when it comes down to it, just because of what I went through as a kid, and, you know, being in high school and all that. But I do love their friendship. You know, you and I grew up together, so we're kind of sort of that way. And so I believe it. I believe their relationship. I mean, I don't know if Alan Ruck and Matthew Broderick were friends before this.
Yeah,
but I buy their friendship. I buy that they are good friends. I think that's real, and I think that that's something that really works in this film because you have to buy their relationship in order to buy the rest of what happens to this day because they're opposites in personality pretty much, opposites on how they were raised probably, and yet they have this commonality between each other, and yeah, I like it, and I think it's very believable that they have a really real relationship, growing up as teenagers, even though they're probably both in their 20s by then.
Yeah.
Filming.
Yeah, definitely. And it is. I don't want to be the cheap internet research guy, but yeah, they did know each other beforehand. I mean, they were in a play. They were in a play together, and that's why they cast them because it's like they did
awesome.
have that chemistry. And that's actually once again, some internet research that people always throw out there. That whenever he's pretending to be Mr. Peterson, that's supposed to be like their director of a play that they were impersonating.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
that's nice.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So there you go.
Yeah, so they have a history, and that's what helps the performance, like you're saying. And
cool.
Cameron, he's the key guy, like you're saying. It's anybody that loves this film more than just the fun, good time it is. Cameron's the guy they latch on to because he does go through growth. He does change. Meanwhile, Ferris, yeah, he's just pretty much a static character that's fun to watch. The first thing that Ferris has to get Cameron to do, the first leap of faith, is to take out the car. And this car is a 1961 Ferrari, and I think there's only like 100 of them ever made. And they had one for this film, and you get to see it briefly, but the rest of the time it's a prop. But the implication that they're driving this thing,
right? It's
pretty fun. I mean, if you had the opportunity to take this ride out for a ride,
who wouldn't?
Yeah, especially taking off from work, taking off from school, whatever. Take the car. So it's a dream.
I think the closest we had to that is you had a 1968 Mustang when we were in high school. So that's as close as we ever came to this film.
Yeah, but I think it adds to it just because
it does.
As a high schooler, you want to like kind of pull one over your parents sometimes, and I think there's an aspect of this film is yes, they're pulling over one on the school, they're pulling over the parents, and same time they're making a memorable experience that they'll never forget for one day, and it's really cool. So this car is part of the whole thing. It's part of the vibe. It does get them in some trouble later. It does create some more conflict. I mean, to me, it's one of the most shocking scenes in all of film.
Oh my gosh!
Like, it still gets me. I almost like when even though it's fake, I'm like, oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I'm just grabbing my head when it just falls through the window. I'm just like,
yeah, it's one of those things you're like, I'm glad I don't see what happens afterwards. But then again, at that point, that's when Cameron has almost come full circle, and he's like, it's cool, I'm good. But I'm not. As an audience, I'm like, I don't care how confident I am. I'm like, if that really happened, I'd just be done for. I'd be like, nope.
Yeah, I'm leaving home. I'm not coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the third character in here, and she's not a third wheel. She is an essential part of this film. It is Sloane Peterson, Mia Sari as Sloane, and to me, she's like was my favorite part of watching it this past time, just because it was a character I knew she was there. I kind of liked her, but I just overlooked her with the whole other friendship relationship thing. I overlooked how she fit in the whole thing, and to me, the way that Mia Sari plays it, she is like and I know you didn't agree with me on this, but she's sort of like a girl Ferris in a way, by how she can kind of alter herself. She can fit herself to meet the scene, but at the same time, she's very authentic. She thinks faster on her feet. She can speak. She can play up what she needs to. But at the same time, she is a real person when she needs to be to Cameron, to Ferris, whoever. She's very honest, and I think her character does go on a journey too, but it's a little bit lesser. I'll get into that in a second. But what are your thoughts on Mia Sari?
I love her performance, and I love the character for many, many reasons. The first one would be that, no, you're right. I mean, she is obviously dating Ferris, but it's not like she is, under his thumb or anything like that. She's definitely on Ferris's level, and really compliments the Ferris character quite well in a lot of ways. But she doesn't play this fangirl to Ferris. Like she tells him like it is, and she's romantic with him, and there's some romantic stuff towards the end of the film, and I think that's a really good thing. But throughout the film, you're not getting these petty oh hun, you love me. She's not begging for Ferris's affection. Is what I'm trying to say is they have, especially even for high school, pretty mature relationship on that fact. So I really like that. But also, I like the relationship between her and Cameron, which I, this past time, really zeroed in on, because I think that's an important thing. I think that she is in love with Ferris, but she really does love Cameron as like a brother, best friend kind of thing. I think there's a really strong relationship there too. So all these three are working together, and again, none of them are necessarily the third wheel. I think they all have a part to play, and I don't think Ferris outranks the others, or either one outranks the others. So I really love the chemistry, all three of these, because I think that's very important for this film, is that you believe that all three of these people are best friends, that are very close, and I buy it. So yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the film. And her performance is just, it's really, really good. It's probably one of my favorite performances in the entire film as well. So,
yeah, I think it's really good because she's not given as much dialogue. She's not given as many scenes, but she makes it count. And she is very much mature. Like, I think John Hughes found out, oh, I thought you were a lot older than what you said you are, because she was playing so mature. And that's what you need. And like you said, it's very, very cool relationship she and Ferris have, because they're very much a team. It's none of this boyfriend, girlfriend, different roles, whatever. It's very cool. And to me, interesting thing I noticed is, yeah, she's very confident in everything, but she doesn't have it all figured out either. She and Ferris don't. No, they don't have each other figured out. They know what they're feeling right now, but it's gonna. I mean, it's different whenever you, at this point in your life, where one person's graduating, moving on to a different phase, and another person's stuck here. And I think that's a part of the plot that kind of gets overlooked a little bit, but I think it's very cool that John Hughes worked this in there. And yeah, whenever Ferris first pops the question, it's like, hey, will you marry me today? Whatever. She is hesitant because she's got dreams, she's got things that she wants to do. She's not ready to commit. But then after this whole day's over, she's like, maybe we will get married. Yeah. I don't know. Right. And I think that is just how they leave that up in the air, how it is ambiguous.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant thing to do, that there's no writing at the end of the film that goes, 10 years later, they were married and have kids and all. No, it almost leaves the audience that opportunity to make it up in your own head what happens to Ferris and Sloane and everything, because again, there's no explanation of after that day what happens to any of these characters. But I think and again, because like I said, audience gets to make up their own interpretation. I think that Ferris and Sloane probably do end up together, married. I mean, that's maybe the romantic in me, I don't know. But I feel like that their relationship was that strong as high schoolers and that mature as high schoolers. That, yeah, they probably lasted. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but one thing I want to talk about is how this movie just goes 100% into all in what it wants to do, and that is just created a very authentic and cool experience for the audience. That I really can't place my finger on what it is. It's so snappy. It's so light. Yes, it works in these cool themes of growing up in this part of your life. It gets serious, yes, but at the same time, it totally commits to this tone of being very funny, being dramatic at times, being about high school. And I don't know. It's the tone, how they commit to all the jokes, how they commit to everything at once. I mean, they could have shortchanged this. This could have been just a teen movie. This could have been just like all those other. Here's a cool guy that does something for fun. I mean, but it's not. John Hughes elevates it. I really don't know what it is. How can this movie be that good?
I think because it's a real story. Like, nothing really that happens in this film could not happen in real life. I mean, getting into the restaurant and all that, but even then, people have tricked other people. So, I mean, nothing in this film, and I think these characters, as I've said earlier, I think all these characters are very relatable. So, you know, whatever they go through, you can. There's parts of everything that you can go, oh yeah, I've experienced that. I know what that's like, especially now. Especially when you get older and you look back. You know, when you're watching this film as a 13, 14-year-old, like I was probably when I first saw this film, probably a little younger than that. You know, some of it was just, it was just a fun film. But when you get to be our ages, where we're in our mid to late 30s and get into 40s, we're like, oh yeah, I remember those days where all you got to do is just drive around in a car. I mean, you know, you didn't have responsibilities, you didn't have jobs or anything like that. And so, yeah, I think this film is just a good mirror on life. You have to enjoy your youth because it's not going to last. You know, you're going to have to face that day where you graduate and you figure out what to do with the rest of your life. But in that moment, I think this was what Ferris was trying to tell Cameron is, you're going to have to make those decisions. But let's get you having a good day. Let's give you a happy day so that, because you obviously, I mean, and we don't know necessarily a lot about Cameron's parents, except that he loved the car. Mm-hmm. So he sounds like they were pretty strict on him. So he doesn't sound like he probably has the best home life, even compared to Ferris's. So I think that's what Ferris already knew, obviously. So he's like, I'm going to give this guy something to smile about and have fun. And I think he ends up doing that. Therefore, I think it gives Cameron the courage to go, yeah, I can face this. I can figure this out. So, there's just a lot going on here. It is a comedy. It is, there's some definitely dramatic stuff. But then I think there's also stuff that we as the audience can see and go, yeah, I remember that. I remember having those feelings. I remember, feeling like that. And I think that's what part makes this movie so magical, is because we can see ourselves within these characters.
Yeah. And I think, just going off of the last point you were making about how maturity and just what it's saying about life adds a lot to this film. And to me, sort of as a doppelganger to the whole Ferris story, of how Ferris just glides through life and has his priorities in order, and how he's trying to help Cameron because he's his friend and everything. I think the two characters that sort of like foils to him, or the doppelganger characters, are Jeannie and Rooney. Because these two characters, they are messed up and they suffer because of that. They're all into other people's business. They're making hills out of molehills. They're Rudy in particular. I gotta go off on Rooney because he is the worst character. I think he's supposed to be. I think you're supposed to look at him as this guy that thinks, oh yeah, I'm like Dirty Harry. I'm gonna get these kids.
Right.
Why is this guy in education? What is he trying to do? How is he helping anybody? He's just doing it for his jollies, and that's totally messed up. And I know there's people like this in the world, and I think this film is kind of showing you that. And we already talked about it already early, how it really makes commentary on high school and how sometimes high school is very insignificant at times. How, some teachers are doing their thing. Like, I love the English teacher that's just performing, or Ben Stein, who's just talking about voodoo economics and stuff like that. These kids don't care about that. That doesn't relate to their lives. So I think this film is really getting into like priorities and what you should value and how you can't get into other people's business. It's just going to lead to suffering. And yeah, to us as an audience, we get to laugh at Jeannie and Rooney get their comeuppance. And I would say that Jeannie does get in a little bit of enlightenment. But at the same time, I think this is definitely some these characters that Hughes is using yet again to make some commentary about life, which is really cool in this little teen drama or teen comedy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think definitely Rooney is the bigger villain than the sister, because I think, you know, you're obviously, and you grew up with a sister, you know how it is. I mean, you're gonna not get along just because you're brother and sister. I had a brother, I still have a brother, but I have a brother, you know, and we didn't get along, and so that's just gonna happen. I think Rooney is definitely more on a like absurd end of the spectrum as far as like authority figures or teachers or principals or whatever. But yes, I don't think that even with that character, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say there would be principals like this that would go far beyond to try to, you know, they wouldn't last very long, and they'd probably have to be out of education at some point. And Rooney's probably out of education by the end of this film.
Yeah, he actually violated a few laws, by the way. He should be going to jail, but that's aside.
I mean, I think there is a little bit of exaggeration on that character's part, on the part for that character to just kind of show how much Ferris affects people, because the whole movie he affects most people in a positive way. Well, these two characters, especially Rooney, he just hates him, and he wants to drag him down because he feels like that, and maybe Rooney's upset with his own life, and he just wants to take somebody down with him. I don't know.
I don't trust this kid any further than I can throw him.
Well, with your bad knee, Ed, you shouldn't throw anybody.
What is so dangerous about a character like Ferris Bueller is he gives good kids bad ideas.
Uh-huh.
Last thing I need at this point in my career is 1,500 Ferris Bueller disciples running around these halls. He jeopardizes my ability to effectively govern this student body.
Well, makes you look like an ass is what he does, Ed.
Thank you, Grace. I think you're wrong.
Oh, well, he's very popular, Ed. The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Like I said, I mean, when I see teachers in John Hughes films, a lot of times I'm like, I'm glad I'm not a teacher like this. I'm glad I'm not into this sort of thing, because I just couldn't live myself.
Right.
And like you're saying, Grace, the great secretary that we said we had to mention, she had it right. I mean, you see her, she pegs all these people correctly. Yeah. She pegs Ferris as a righteous dude. Meanwhile, Jeannie, she's I'm not going to say it here on podcast, but just watch the film. What she says about her. Yeah. Same thing with Rooney. He's ridiculous, and I think they get it. But Jeannie, I'll give her some credit. Her character evolves a little bit. She does bail Ferris out at the end, and I think a lot of that is sort of Ferris helping her out because she ran into. Got to say, this is a great performance by Charlie Sheen.
Oh my gosh!
As the wastoid, and
that was awesome.
It's one of the best cameos ever. I mean, he just nails it as this psychiatrist / druggie. It's crazy.
I love the story. They say that right before the scene, he asked John Hughes, so am I supposed to be stoned right now? And he's like, yeah. So he just rubs his eyes a bunch of times to get them all red, and that's why he looks the way he does. And I'm like, that's brilliant. You know, say what you want about Charlie Sheen, but the man can bring it when he wants to, and I think he brings it a lot in this film. I think he's one of the best. Like you said, I think he's probably the best cameo. But he's great. Yeah,
and that's what this movie's about, is all the small little things. I did not notice that the Sausage King, the Abe guy that that Ferris pretends to be, that's the guy that his dad takes out with him to the dinner. I was like, that's the same one, because he's like, when he's getting in the car, he's like, hey, you should know Abe. And this movie just commits to everything. It's the same thing I was telling you about with the phone call where he's talking to this freshman, and the one kid is like, "Oh, Ferris can't die." Then later in the movie, we see that same kid going around collecting money for Save Ferris. I mean, it totally commits. It's so great. It's a very fun movie. The day off it's a highlight. It's just like, let's put all the best things we could think of in one day. But to me, the pivotal scene, and yeah, I want to talk about the parade later, but to me, the museum scene has always stood up in my mind. It's always been my favorite part. What does that scene mean to you?
I think it's one of those transition things. Like, it's really almost like you're there with them. Like, you're thinking about your own self, and what's my role in the world? What do I mean? What are my concerns? I think you can definitely get really introspective in an environment like that. So definitely in a scene there, I think it kind of does make you think a little bit, or it does me. I just love how that scene's shot, because most of this film is going at a pretty good pace, and it's kind of moving along. And that scene slows the movie down, but not in a bad way. At least not for my money.
I totally agree with you. Every point you just made. It's like MTV editing for most of the film, and then it becomes whatever this is. And it's a pivotal scene because, it's very introspective. You think about it yourself. Like, as camera's looking at that little character in the painting, you're like looking at yourself almost. And to me, this film is about what happens when you go to a museum, when you look at a painting. Life slows down, sort of like what this whole film's about. Is like taking a day off, taking the time to digest things, to enjoy things. And I love this scene because it encapsulates that perfectly, and it's a great time for Cameron to kind of face who he is. And I know this was supposed to be originally, they had it before after the parade. I think it works in a sense, and I see why they put that in the script. But I tell you what, this time watching the parade, I got so into it. I was into it. I was dancing.
Yes.
This is. I don't know why this scene works. It's just so infectious. It's so
fun.
Great.
It's fun. It's authentic. I mean, like, a lot of the people that they show in this film are not even extras. They're just people that were around while they were filming, dancing. Like on the scaffolding and everything. And it's just a fantastic. It's like we say in on the stage. You have those showstopper tunes. And I think that's what this is. It kind of it's your big finale. It's, whatever you want to call it. And, not to mention, he does do Dunkashane before that. And I think that's awesome. But yeah, I just love how that last scene with the parade and everything kind of makes you feel, and it just makes you happy. Because it really is, I think, and again, we're going into the philosophical parts of this film, but I think this film, more than that, it shows you have to enjoy life. You have to enjoy every day that you have. Yeah, some days are going to be better than others. Some days are just going to be terrible, but it's those good days that really, really do count. And that's what I think Ferris was trying to teach his buddy Cameron. And so I think at that point, Cameron's like, you know what? He's right. And he enjoys himself. It shows Cameron, dancing. And I just thought, that's the scene that kind of gets him out of his own head, I guess.
It does. It's the one that, that in the museum scene is what shakes him up and gets the whole epiphany he has later on in the film. And like you said, it gets into the whole theme of what the movie's about. It's about having fun and enjoying your time, whether it be good days, bad days, whatever. And you can't get stuck in the rut of life. And you can't get stuck in the sort of like the hang-ups of anxiety. I think that's what this film's a lot about, is how your anxieties can weigh you down and take the joy and the zest out of life for you. And Ferris he's not going to take that. So you need people like Ferris in your life. You need to take time off sometimes. So I really love this film. I grow a deep appreciation for everything about it, the filmmaking, the writing. It just works. I don't think it as critically acclaimed as some of his films, or not as much as Breakfast Club anyway, because that's the major one that people circle. But I think as far as John Hughes at his top of his game, I don't think he can get higher than this as far as what he wanted to do in a movie of making something very accessible and very fun, but at the same time saying something deeper. It's just a great film.
I can safely say that this film was made 30 plus years ago, but I can safely say if you showed this film in your classes, I think they would still be able to relate to this film. I still think they would be able to see themselves in either Ferris or Sloane or whoever, and I think they would get something out of it, because while the film came out years ago, the feelings of a kid and especially in high school, that's universal. We have that anyway, and that's just a part of it. And I think that's what this film does so well, is it really shows what being a kid in transition to adulthood, because that's what this is about, is he's leaving his childhood and going to adulthood. And like you said earlier, I mean, that's a scary thing. I don't care how confident in yourself you are, you're gonna have this fear of, am I gonna make it in the world? Am I gonna be okay? And I'm here to tell you, like I said, we've been graduated almost 20 years, and I'm as happy as I've ever been in my life. I know you are. So if anybody is high school or younger watching this and worried about that, just keep at it, is all I gotta say. You just wake up every day and do what you can, and you'll be fine. So there we go.
Yep, we'll all make it through it. Yeah, life is tough. It's part of the deal. Same time, got to take the day off. Got to enjoy the time. Love this film for that. And I do have one little nitpicky thing I was thinking about right here at the end.
All right, let's hear it.
I don't know how this got past the script doctors. I don't know how no Beatles fan was there. Because Ferris says that John Lennon was the walrus, that he should know. But anybody that listens to the White Album knows that the walrus was Paul. So
I told you about the walrus and me, man. You know that we're as close as can be, man. Well, here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul.
come on. And also heard that Paul McCartney was not happy about the trumpets and stuff in the song Shake It. But I actually thought that worked pretty well, Twisted Shout. But that's me. Yeah. Sorry for that tangent. Great movie.
That's cool, dude.
Go check it out. Like I said,
yes, definitely.
It should be coming out on 4K pretty soon because it's owned by Paramount. Paramount's pretty good about putting their stuff out. So that'll be amazing when that comes out. And eventually we will come back to this other John Hughes classic. The Breakfast Club just picked it up. Criterion. But we're going to save that one for a bit because right around the corner, we're going to get into some serious action. Serious action, but it also, as SuperCaZt is going to find out, it has some sort of zany moments to it. It has some silliness to it because that's what Hong Kong cinema is all about. And that's,
I'm telling you,
that's what Police Story is all about. Jackie Chan, Police Story, pretty much most of the action movies that late 80s, 90s ripped this movie off. It's great. It's like watching a wrestling film of sorts. I can't wait to hear your reaction from it as we talk about that next time.
Definitely looking forward to it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode and on any episode and every episode because we really do appreciate it. We do love these films and we just, we love it for being films, and this one is definitely no different. If you know a film fan that has not listened to our show, let them know. Sure. It is the SuperCaZt with a Z. We are on YouTube, and also follow us on Twitter at SuperCaZt with a Z. And we'd love to hear from you guys and give us your thoughts on Ferris or any of the movies that we've reviewed thus far. But really looking forward to next time, and so join us when you can. And for the Stevesy, I am the SuperFosh. We'll see you guys next week on the SuperCaZt.